it really doesn't matter unless you're trying to be petty, right? It really doesn't matter. Then I'm gonna be petty too, okay? Then we both gonna be petty. If you're trying to be petty and call me a he and him, I'm gonna be petty and call you a she and her. Okay. And if you a she and her already, I'm gonna call you a he and him. We gonna be petty together, okay? But normally, it really doesn't matter. What's going on, AnokhiTheOne, back with another video, and in this video I am going to be talking about Cuffy, okay, from The Harder They Fall. I'm going to be breaking down my thoughts and feelings about it because I feel like a lot of people have been kind of avoiding Cuffy, and the only people who are talking about it are people who are trying to appropriate Cuffy. You can't have her, okay? You can't have her, all right? So I'm gonna break down some things, and what I mean by that, as you can see in the title, when I went to look her up to see if she's a real person, which she is, so I'm gonna be breaking down a little bit of history, which is some very interesting history. I feel like out of all the people that I saw, her history was one of the most interesting, and I feel like I don't know why more people didn't dig into that, but I kind of do know. So when I looked it up, the first thing I saw was some trans website talking about she's a trans man. Okay, we're gonna get into that. But first I want to talk about how I felt, Lord, how I felt watching it, my thoughts, my perception, and different things about that when I saw the movie. For one, I love the movie, and that is very rare for me to love an American history movie, or a movie that pulls from American history, right? I loved it. I feel like it was like perfect. There's nothing that I feel like I wanted different. It's just everything. I don't know what. Jay-Z, you know, sometimes I'd be confused about you. You'd be a little iffy, you'd be doing a little, I don't be knowing. But whatever this was fire right here. Kudos to you for this, okay? And the person who was writing the script, the other producers, the director, the actors, y'all did that. Y'all did it, okay? So now, let's talk about Cuffy. So, when she first came into the scene, the first thing I thought in my head, this is stud. What's going on? Okay, this is a masculine woman. This is kind of fire. And I wasn't sure at first, and until she started talking. So I like that. To me, I like it. I like that it's not overtly trying to make you know or feel what she's supposed to be, or what she, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it was just fire the way she was whooping dudes behind. You go step to me, pop, 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 pop. Now give me a gun. Okay, I like that. That was fire. Okay, and then you know, I feel like she had a really fire part, and I really appreciate that she was in it. And I saw in this trans article or whatever that I'm gonna break down later, they tried to make it seem like there was some kind of homophobia or something going on when the scene where basically she had to dress up like a girly girl or whatever, and the guy was cracking jokes about how he was starting to question himself because he was falling for her or whatever the case may be. And my thing is, like, to me, that's very realistic. Like, I feel like people who are not in our community, and when I say our community, I mean people who have large amounts of melanin, who have copper colored skin, you know, our LGBT, or whatever, however you want to call it, is very different than theirs. A lot of people on the outside don't know that, but we all know that. We know that we have our own black pride, we have our own, we even have a different name. We got lesbian pride, we different. Okay, so to me, I loved how it just seemed so natural. She was not like hey, I'm a masculine woman, you need to pay attention to me. Da, da, da. No, it was just like she was a part of the crew. She's not in her separate lesbian bubble and then the guys are in their own bubble. No, she is the one gatekeeper, which is what they talked about in The Spirit of Intimacy. I talk about that a lot of times. Talk about indigenous African spirituality. They would have one woman in a group of all the men. They would have one man in a group of all the women. And a lot of times that person just so happens to be gay. Okay? And it's because they're more masculine. You're a woman, you're more masculine. You have certain benefits to you, which you just saw. You can just dress her up as a woman and serve as a decoy, and that's beneficial. But also intuitiveness, intuition, different things like that that just add to the crew, right? Same thing with men. Men add to the house. Maybe there's some things that have to do with the in-home things. That's maybe it's a heavy box you got to pick up in the house, or different things like that. There's benefit to having a man, or protection. If all the men are at war, that's another thing that they call them eunuchs in royalty and different things like that. And in the Bible, okay, so on the other side of the world, they call them eunuchs. Okay, so they would have a one man, feminine man, if not trans, just to make sure, right, that this person does not basically mess up the bloodline, okay, and get the women and children, or not the women and children, but the women pregnant and mess up the bloodline, right? And also protect the women of royalty, okay? There's a use. There's a use. So I really like how they showed that without making it very, without overdoing it, without overcompensating, without virtue signaling to me. And it just seemed natural. Like I have no qualms. I feel like the only qualm that I have is that it would be a lot more realistic if, like, for example, when I think his name is Beckworth, said he was the fastest or whatever, and she's like, I've seen faster, and she said, in the mirror. I feel like it would be a lot more realistic if after he started laughing, cracking jokes, she started laughing and cracking jokes back. Like, firing him up. I feel like that would be more realistic. But, you know, that ain't even no deep thing. But that's just banter. We do that. I have to deal with this all the time. And I've dealt with this since I was young. And it's not even really dealing with anything, because guys do that to each other. Guys banter with each other like that. So them trying to make this seem like it's homophobic or something is stupid. So that... But yeah, overall, I really liked the vibe. I really liked how that went. And then the other thing is that even with that scene of her saying that, like, she seen faster in the mirror, he laughed or whatever, she didn't laugh. Like, she was very confident. She's like, I've seen faster in the mirror. She had to really say too much else. And it wasn't until the end of the movie that she proved that she probably really was faster, but at the same time she was honoring her friend. So it's not like she got some kind of beef with him. She's still loyal to him. She still loves not love like in love, but that's her brother, that's her, you know, her homie or whatever. And she wanted to basically risk her life going at it with Cherokee Bill in a way that would honor her friend that he killed in a cowardly way. Cherokee Bill, that was whack. I was mad. Okay, but yeah, I feel like it's very realistic. Whenever I see masculine women of color, a lot of times it's one girl and a crew of dudes. That's how it almost always is. I rarely, unless I'm going to like a lesbian outing or something like that, I rarely see just a bunch of masculine women all together. It's only in those situations. But normally it's one of us and 10 guys or 5 guys or whatever we're doing is some kind of masculine thing. We rapping, we making beats, we playing basketball, laser tag or something. Clearly a lot of women aren't going, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to be into that all the way. You know what I'm saying? So this was very natural. It made a lot of sense. Now, let me go into this whole thing of this trans article trying to make, and there's multiple different articles that talk about the LGBT representation, but they're trying to make her into a trans man. Okay. Now, they try to rewrite history basically and point to different things as to why they feel like she's a trans man. First of all, trans men are about 20-30 years old. Okay, when I was growing up, it wasn't no trans man. They probably existed, but they were very, very, very rare. And I'm not saying that there were not people who are transitioning into men or women who dressed up as men and different things like that, because if that's the case, then Mulan is a trans man too, and I know she ain't no damn trans man. Why y'all, what? So, because her story really, her actual story, her real story is very much like Mulan, right? So, but anyway, basically in this article, it's so stupid. It's so dumb because it starts off saying, calling her a them and they, right? Virtue signaling them and they, and you know, it's unfortunate that they kind of fumbled around certain scenes, saying that, they dead named her when he asked what her government name is, and she said Cuffy because she was uncomfortable, but then she ended up saying Cathay Williams, right? And it's just like, y'all doing the most. Right? Y'all doing the most. Y'all are projecting y'all sensitivities on us. A lot of us don't have them same sensitivities. Some of us do, but most of us, that is the least of our concerns. How you, him, her, they, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I don't give a damn. I could tell when somebody's trying to be petty or something stupid, right? And to me, it'd be more insulting for somebody to call me a he or a him. Or even a them or a they. And how you gonna look at somebody and be like, oh, they. No, you can't assume that. You can't assume that they are not a binary just because y'all want to have no binaries now. Okay, but anyway, my point is, how can you just bust out saying this woman is a trans man when she was born in the 1800s, before this whole concept existed, right? And you're trying to point to pointless things as to why that makes sense, okay? So this is the other thing that they said, because she dressed up. So basically, the history goes, and I'll read more in depth in the history, but the story, the pieces that they try to take, they say, well, you know, it's not clear if she identified as a woman or a man, which I'm going to debunk that also. But it's not clear whether she identified as a woman or a man. But it is certain that she dressed up as a man when she got into the military, because she was a Buffalo Soldier, which is fire. The only female Buffalo Soldier ever. Fire. Okay, you know, try to appropriate our history and make her trans. She's not trans. She's one of us. Okay, can't have her. All right. But anyway, they claim that because she dressed up as a man to get into certain parts of military that regular women couldn't get into, they point to that to say that, oh, she identified as a man. She changed her name to William Cathay. Okay, so she could move as a man, right? But clearly she did that, and they made it very clear, if you actually go and do research outside of this manipulative article, that the reason she did that was so she could get privileges, so she could do the more masculine things, or she can get into higher paying positions in the military. If she wouldn't have posed as a man, she would have never been able to get into the Buffalo Soldiers. Okay, so does that mean she believed that she was a man inside and internal? And this is what they said. It's obvious that, and this is what they're doing to children in these gender clinics. This is why it's so problematic, and it's why y'all need to leave our history alone and stop talking to us about us and listen, okay? they're so quick to say, oh, you're a man inside. No, bitch. No. And then it's homophobic. That's the crazy part. It's homophobic. Because if she was just a lesbian or a masculine woman who's attracted to other women, or she's a lesbian, or she's just more masculine, or she a tomboy, you're being kind of homophobic. You are being more binary than what people already are. You feel what I'm saying? Than what we already are. I feel like masculine women, especially androgynous women, just messed up this whole non-binary trans situation. That's why they're constantly trying to erase us, right? Because we're like, no, I'm a woman. I am she, her. Get it right, get it tight. If you mess it up, then I'm gonna be upset. If you call me a him and her, a him and a he and a who to have, no. Her, she. I can go by Amber. I can go by Anokhi. I can go by whatever, whoever, what. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm a woman. I am a woman. Right? But they want us to identify as trans non-binary when we're a woman who is more masculine, because this is so much confusion. Do you hear me? They want us to be trans non-binary. Do you understand how foolish that sounds if you actually know what trans and non-binary is? That's two opposites. They cancel each other out. A trans person is a person that is transitioning from one binary to another binary. Okay, non-binary is no binaries. So how the hell you gonna be transitioned from one binary to another binary and no binary at the same time? All in one label. They don't make a lick of damn sense. But y'all want us to think that we're trans non-binary when it makes no lick of sense just because we're androgynous. We're both binaries. He, she, it really doesn't matter unless you're trying to be petty, right? It really doesn't matter. Then I'm gonna be petty too, okay? Then we both gonna be petty. If you're trying to be petty and call me a he and him, I'm gonna be petty and call you a she and her. Okay. And if you a she and her already, I'm gonna call you a he and him. We gonna be petty together, okay? But normally, it really doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't, okay? So trying to force us into this label that doesn't make a lick of sense on its own, and then it doesn't make a lick of sense when we're just saying, no, I am a woman who is more masculine, in my masculine energy. I'm not sold to any binary, which means I'm not trans, because I'm not transitioning from being a woman into a man. But just because I'm not on one binary doesn't mean I don't have any binary at all. I'm both. See, you want us to be none. You want us to be void of life, because if you have no gender, that goes against the law of gender. Everything in nature, and it goes against indigenous roots, right? Everything in indigenous spirituality, I'm getting chills. You hear me? Everything in indigenous spirituality has a gender. Do you hear me? Trees have a gender. The sun has a gender. Okay? The earth, Mother Earth, Father Sun. The moon has a gender. Everything has a gender. All of it. Okay? Including us. Okay? So and we can be more or less the other or whatever, or we could be equally both, but there's no none. So this whole non-binary, you're erasing sexuality, right? You go woo, child, I'm talking about this for hours. You go from calling people homophobic in the same article, you go from calling people homophobic to assuming that a woman who is moving in a masculine way is a man. That's that is misogynistic, and is homophobic, because That's just like, think about it, back in the day, it used to be like an insult for you to call a woman a man when she's moving in a masculine way. Oh yeah, she's just trying to be a man. That's what you're saying, fools. If you are a masculine woman, you are not a masculine woman. You're not a lesbian. You are a trans man, right? You're not a lesbian. You're a man. You want to be a man inside you. You want to be a man inside. Okay, that is homophobic. That's been homophobic for a long time. Like, how is this not homophobic anymore, right? So it just gets on my nerves, right? And y'all are doing the most, and that is the whole purpose, is just to suck our energy, because they know how powerful our energy is because of stories like this. Like, this is a very powerful woman, okay? Cathay Williams is a very powerful woman, and let's get back into that, because I can go on a rampage about that for hours and hours and hours. And I'm gonna start talking about the trans sports stuff, because you know they don't never talk. Lesbians don't never talk about the trans sports. Y'all know we run women's sports. They don't never want us to talk about it. Okay, I'm gonna be talking about that again. But Cathay Williams, Cuffy, she fired, and y'all can't have her, and you mad. You not gonna have her. But anyway, she was the first, the only female Buffalo Soldier. Is that not fire, right? She was born to a free man of color, but her mother was born into slavery, so she was born into slavery, and she was served as a house slave until her slave owner died or whatever. And then after he died, it's like it was like a weird thing where they're like in limbo, and the government really has control of them and basically do whatever, right? And this is something I'm going to be talking about more often. But yeah, so the government just did whatever, and because they were fighting the Civil War, the Union Army would take slaves, ex-slaves, and have them fighting in the army, right? Which I think is very interesting, because supposedly they were supposed to be fighting to end slavery, but they had people who were slaves fighting against their will as slaves, whether they wanted to or not. You see how that doesn't make sense? But anyway, because there's a whole lot with this Union and Confederate stuff that a lot of people don't really understand, but one of these days. So she did that, and then she was only able to be a cook and basically do laundry, which was a lot of work, and you had to be pretty skilled. I feel like we really downplay cooks. What is a cook? A cook is a chef. That's for another video, but we need to stop downplaying different jobs. Even now, we downplay a lot of jobs that are very like skill heavy, and it's not until some celebrity does it that we were like, oh my God, but there's still people that are doing these same jobs all the time, and you look at them like they ain't nothing, like it's stupid. But anyway, she did that, and she was like, you know what? I'm not feeling this anymore. You know, I probably got some masculine features. I could cut my hair, and you know what? I could pose as a man. And she was 5'9", which, according to what I read, she was the tallest soldier in the Buffalo Soldier, in her infantry. 5'9", right? That's crazy. So she was pretty tall. So people was like, okay, they wasn't thinking nothing of it. And for 2 years, she served in the military. She went to, I think she said Vicksburg and all these different wars. She wasn't like on the battlefield shooting people and different things like that, but she stood guard, and basically she was like an informant, which makes a lot of sense because that goes into the gatekeeper role, the intuitive role, the getting tips and putting two and two together and telling you what would be the intuitive next step to do so you don't get your head blasted off, right? So that made 100% sense. And then after, I think it was after the Civil War ended, then they had the Buffalo Soldiers. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but then they bust out with the Buffalo Soldiers, the legendary Buffalo Soldiers. So then she joined the Buffalo Soldiers. And she did that, I think, for a year or two until she's like, I'm not feeling this no more. Matter of fact, they said it in her own words. And this is where I say they claim that it's not clear whether she identified herself as a woman or not, when there's an interview online that they could have easily searched if you're gonna take the time to do a whole article, but y'all got an agenda, so of course you're not gonna do that. Where somebody interviewed her in 1876, and she told her own story. Like, she literally was like, yeah, they found out that I was a woman, which means she identified as a woman. She knew she was a woman. She's not moving as if she is truly a man inside. She's moving as if, I'm trying to get this privilege right here. I'm trying to get this check. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty athletic. I could do, you know what I'm saying? I could do this right here. This ain't nothing. I got this, right? I'm gonna switch my name around. I'm gonna go by William Cathay. Okay, they're not gonna know the difference by the time they know I'm already having my check. You feel me? And that's literally what she did. Okay, until she got tired of it. And when she got tired of it, she basically played sick. And then they found out, probably because she wanted them to find out at that point, because she was kind of done. She's like, you know what, I'm tired of this military stuff. Y'all can kick me out now. You know what, I actually am a woman, so y'all go ahead and kick me out. And she even talked about how when they found out in the Buffalo Soldiers that she was a woman, all the guys started treating her bad and all this other stuff, but she's like, I'm done anyway. Okay, so she left. Then she got married to a man, okay? So she may not even be lesbian. They're talking about she a trans man and all this. She got married to a man, okay? But that went sour very quickly because he stole all her money. She said he stole my necklace, stole my chain, stole $100, stole all my horses, had about 10 horses. He stole all of it. I called the police on him, had him arrested. That's what she said. She said she had the man arrested, had him thrown in jail for stealing all her stuff. She ain't got time for that. She ain't got the time. Okay, so that was over. And they don't say any relationship she had after that, so we may never know. But we can speculate. She didn't have any children. And sometimes, like in history, there are certain signs that you can kind of see if someone is gay or not, basically. Okay, I don't want to just straight up say that, but just like how we got a gaydar, there's a gaydar in history. And there's a man who wrote a whole book about American history and the different presidents and different things like that that were definitely, more than likely, LGBT. George Washington, my cousin, was one of them that he said. And also Abraham Lincoln. But a lot of times when you have people who live a very long life, especially back then into their 80s and different things like that, and they don't have any real health problems, and they don't have no kids, that a lot of times those people probably, they don't have no kids and they have long periods where they're not married to anyone. A lot of times it's because they probably was in a relationship. It just wasn't a relationship that was bearing children. And people didn't speak about it like that. People didn't have a name for it. They know, okay, this is how this person is. It wasn't even like they made it a big deal to be gay and lesbian and all this other stuff largely in modern times in like the mid 1900s, like 1950, 1960, with the Bible, with translations in the Bible, right? So before that, even my grandparents, it's not even that big a deal. Like a lot of them know people who are older than them who were gay, who were welcome in the family, and everybody knew they was gay, but they didn't care because they was good at stuff. It's like, I got a cousin Andrew that's older than my grandpa, that was old when my grandpa was born. So he was from the 1800s. And there's like, shoot, nobody cared. Everybody loved him because he could cook. He would go around the whole neighborhood and cook for people. He would stay at their house for 2-3 days and just cook and have fun and then go to somebody else's house and just cook. Helpers, right? They don't have kids, but they're highly skilled at different things, and they're able to live this eventful life and do all different things that a lot of regular people wasn't doing, and that's the same thing she did. So she may have been a lesbian, she may have had a secret lover, she may not, I don't know, but all I do know is she's fire. Okay, Cathay Williams is fire, and I really appreciate this Harder They Fall movie because it was very fire. I love history. Y'all already know I was gonna love this movie. Had me fired up. So like, subscribe, comment. Oh, I spoiled this whole thing. I'm gonna have to put spoiler alert on the title. I really spoiled this whole movie dang near. So like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Are you tired of trans appropriating all the daggone lesbians in history now? Okay, are y'all tired like I'm tired? Okay, what do you think about Cuffy's character? What do you think about how she was portrayed? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see y'all in the next. And also, I have created a program before I end this. I have created a program. If y'all want to learn more about your history, and become more aligned with your ancestors, because who's to say you're not related to Cathay Williams? Who's to say you're not related to Cherokee Bill or these people in this movie, right? And shit, I'm about to start doing some research and see if I could make some connections, because sometimes that's how it happens. Like, you may be knowing somebody or seeing somebody in history books your whole life and never know that they could be related to you. Like with me and George Washington, I would have never thought in a million, thousand, billion years that what? I would have never guessed, right? But it's really fire, and it's a really interesting story to tell, and it just expands the scope of my own history, my own story. Like that now that's a part of my story, regardless of how people feel about George Washington. Some of y'all might be related to him. Okay, so I mean, and when there's people like historical figures that you have all this energy for, you have all this judgment for, you weren't alive when they were alive, so you're completely dependent on people who weren't in existence yet and could very well be your ancestor, and you're listening to people who it absolutely was not their ancestor, because their grandparents, their great-grandparents came on the boat in the 1800s. Your people been here since 1500s, 1600s, right? So they could talk trash about your ancestors, and that's not going to affect you at all whatsoever. But when you are judging and bashing historical figures in America, when you are American and your ancestors been here for like 300, 400, 500 years, or you don't even know, you don't know how long your ancestors been here, and you could very well be talking trash about your own ancestors, which is a part of you. So that, people want to talk about manifestation, people want to talk about generational curses. You could easily be cursing yourself, putting generational curses on yourself by cursing your own ancestors. Some of those, they're literally, if I would have been hardcore, I'm getting chills with this right now. If I would have been hardcore doing the most in 2020, trying to tear down statues, some of them damn statues is my ancestors, literally. George Washington, literally. General Ripley Arnold. There's like 3 or 4. Cathay Williams has a statue as well. Fire. We have some fire history out here, okay? And so I think it's everybody's responsibility, because sometimes when I talk about my ancestors and stuff like that, people are like, okay, so what are we? What are we? What are we? We ain't nothing. I mean, what are we? I know I got some French in my ancestry, but I don't speak French, and we ain't nothing. This is what I am. These are my ancestors, and I've created a program based on how I've been able to find a lot of my ancestors, whether they're famous, whether they're not famous. A lot of the people, the ancestors that aren't famous, are more interesting to me than the famous ones, right? And so it's just a beautiful thing to have, and you shouldn't be looking to other people to tell you who your ancestors are. I'm not gonna tell you who your, I don't know, some of y'all, I don't know what your real face look like. I don't know what your picture look like, and you want me to tell you. That's the problem right here. You want me to tell you what we are. That's problem number one. Because you've been letting people tell you who we are for too long, okay? It took me a long time to figure this out and to start breaking this down. and to figure out who I am, who my ancestors are, my specific ancestors are, so nobody can just tell me what they was doing 200 years ago when they weren't alive. I want to hear from my own ancestors. Just like how I talk about how they want to sit here and say, oh, it's not clear whether she identified as blah, blah, blah. Let me go find out what she said. Let me go find out what Cathy Williams said about Cathy Williams. Okay? Don't wait on me to tell you who we are. Now, I'm creating a program, right? I've worked really hard to create a program. So, and it's more questions, literally a lot of questions, the questions to ask, where to look when you're asking these questions, different things like that I could not find anywhere. I had to really be leaning on the spirit realm, my ancestors, right? So, yeah, I'm creating a program so you can figure it out. And not just like, oh, you need to go figure it out. There's a lot of people, or they just don't respond. I haven't been able to respond because I haven't had a program. It's a lot. You can't just be like, okay, this is how you figure out everything about your ancestors. You can't just answer that in a comment, right? So, created that. Link is in the bio, or you can go to AnokhiTheOne.com and check it out. Check it out. So you can have this energy. There's like this is just, when I tell you it's a different energy, this is a dream come true. I'm gonna just be completely honest. This is a truly a dream come true to be able to, like, when I think about history, when I see something in history or something like that, I can be like, dang, what was my ancestors doing in that time period? Do-do-do-do-do-do. I mean, it hasn't been this easy to do it either. I have two uncles, different parts of the family, who are genealogists, and they were doing genealogy in the 19s. Okay, this is 2021. They was doing it in the 1950s, 60s. They was traveling. They was having to go to the libraries, and there's still some of that for some ancestors. But there's such a huge database online. You can do a lot of stuff right online. So we're in different times, so there's really no excuse to be asking me or anybody else what we are, what this is, and whether you a lost tribe or this or that, and then no. What is your last name? And go back, and then see what your ancestors were saying they are, and then there you go, boom, right? So based on facts, not feelings, not hypotheticals, not theories, okay? Not supremacies, facts. All right, I'll see you on the next video. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you.